The day Nia found out she was worth $200 million, she didn't scream. She sat on her faded sofa in their small apartment in Atlanta, staring at the lottery ticket on her coffee table. For years, she had walked through jobs, cleaning offices in the morning and waitressing at night, just to keep her husband, Marcus, in his expensive suits. Marcus was a corporate climber, a man who believed he was destined for the corner office. He always told Nia, "Babe, once I make partner, you will never have to scrub a floor again." Nia believed him. She loved him with every fiber of her being. She had used her meager savings to pay for his MBA. She had stayed home with their 4-year-old daughter, Maya, while he worked late nights closing deals. The money was supposed to be their fresh start. It was the end of the struggle. Nia's heart hammered against her ribs. She didn't call him. She wanted to see his face. She wanted to walk into that high-rise office building where he worked as a senior analyst and tell him that their life had changed forever. She dressed Maya in her prettiest yellow sundress and put on the one nice dress she owned, a simple black wrap dress. She tucked the winning ticket into her purse, her hand shaking. "Where are we going, Mommy?" Maya asked, her braids bouncing. "To see Daddy," Nia whispered, tears of joy blurring her vision. "To tell him we're free." The lobby of Starling & Associates was all glass and cold marble. Nia had only been here once before for the office Christmas party where Marcus had ignored her most of the night to talk to his bosses. The receptionist, a young woman with a sharp bob, looked Nia up and down. Nia didn't look like the typical wife of a rising executive. Her shoes were worn at the heels and her hair was pulled back in a simple puff. "I'm here to see Marcus Turner," Nia said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Do you have an appointment?" the woman asked, not looking away from her computer. "I'm his wife." The receptionist paused, a strange flicker of something. Was it pity crossing her eyes? "He's in a private meeting on the 42nd floor, Mrs. Turner. I'm not sure if he can be disturbed." "It's a surprise," Nia said, smiling. "We won't stay long." The elevator ride felt like it took a lifetime. Nia held Maya's hand, feeling the weight of the $200 million ticket in her bag. She imagined Marcus's reaction. Maybe they'd buy that house in Cascade with the big backyard. Maybe they'd finally go on that honeymoon they never had. As the doors chimed for the 42nd floor, the hallway was quiet. The carpets were thick, muffling their footsteps. Most of the staff had gone to a late lunch, but the light over Marcus's office door was red, signaling "Do not disturb." Nia reached the door. She was about to knock when she heard it, a low, guttural moan. It wasn't a sound of pain, it was a sound of intimacy. Then came the whispers. "You are so much better than her," a woman's voice breathed. It was high-pitched, playful, and familiar. It was Sarah, the senior partner's daughter, the woman Marcus always described as his tough-as-nails mentor. "She's just a weight around my neck, Sarah." Marcus's voice came through the door, cold and sharp as a razor. "I only stay for the image. A stable family man looks better for the promotion. Once I get the VP spot next month, I'm filing the papers. I've already moved most of our joint savings into the offshore account you've set up. She won't have a dime." Nia felt the floor vanish. The lottery ticket in her bag felt like it was burning a hole through the leather. Maya looked up, her big brown eyes confused. "Mommy, why is Daddy talking funny?" Nia slammed her hand over Maya's mouth, her heart shattering into a million jagged pieces. Nia didn't run. Something inside her, a part of her that had been tired and subservient for a decade, died in that hallway. In its place, something cold and metallic was born. She didn't knock, she didn't scream, she turned the handle. The door wasn't locked. The sight was worse than the sound. Marcus was behind his mahogany desk, his shirt unbuttoned. Sarah was draped over him like a cheap silk sheet. When the door swung open, Marcus's face went from passion to absolute horror in a split second. He pushed Sarah off him so hard she nearly hit the floor. "Nia!" he gasped, fumbling with his buttons. What are you doing here? This isn't what it looks like. We were celebrating a closed deal." Nia stood there, her face a mask of stone. She didn't look at Sarah, who was hurriedly straightening her skirt with a smack of pure malice. She looked directly at the man she had sacrificed her youth for. I heard you, Marcus, Nia said. Her voice was terrifyingly calm. I heard the part about the offshore accounts. I heard the part about me being a weight around your neck. Marcus tried to step towards her, his charming face sliding back into place. Baby, I was just saying what she wanted to hear. It's politics. You know how these people are. I'm doing this for us, for Maya. Don't you dare say her name, Nia hissed. Maya started crying, the tension in the room reaching a breaking point. Sarah laughed, a sharp tinkling sound. Oh, let's be real, Marcus. Tell the girl the truth. You've been over her since the day you graduated. You're a lion and she's a house cat. Give her some bus fare and let's get back to work. Marcus looked between the two women. He looked at Sarah, the wealth, the power, the keys to his future. Then he looked at Nia, the woman who had worked 2 jobs so he could eat. He chose. Naya, go home, Marcus said, his voice turning cold. We'll talk about the divorce tonight. You shouldn't have come here. You are embarrassing me in front of my colleagues. Naya felt a laugh bubbling up in her chest, a dark, hysterical sound. Embarrassing you? Marcus, you have no idea what you just did. She reached into her bag. For a second, Marcus flinched, thinking she had a weapon. She pulled out the crumpled lottery ticket. I came here to tell you we won, she said. Marcus frowned. Won what? A grocery store raffle? Get out, Naya. The Powerball, Marcus. $200 million. The silence that followed was so heavy, it felt like the air had left the room. Sarah's eyes widened. Marcus froze, his hand halfway to his thigh. 200? Marcus whispered. But here's the thing, Naya said, stepping back toward the door. I haven't signed the back yet, and in this state, since we're still married, I was going to share it. But you just told me you've been stealing our savings for an offshore account. That's frayed, Marcus. My lawyer is going to love that. Naya, wait! Marcus scrambled around the desk, his face pale. I didn't mean those things. I was stressed. Sarah, get out. Naya, honey, let's talk. Naya turned her back on him. The wait is gone, Marcus. Enjoy your promotion. Naya didn't go home. She went straight to the most expensive law firm in the city, the one that occupied the top 3 floors of a building even taller than Marcus's. She walked in with Maya, who was now sleeping in her arms. I want to speak to the head of the family law department, Naya told the receptionist. Do you have an appointment? Tell him I have a $200 million problem and I want to spend 10% of it, making sure one man never sees a penny of it. Within 10 minutes, she was sitting across from Andre Lance, a sharp, older black man with a reputation for being a shark. Naya told him everything. The jobs, the MBA, the offshore accounts, the scene in the office. Andre leaned back, his fingers interlaced. Mrs. Turner, your husband was foolish. By admitting to moving funds into an offshore account in front of a witness, even his mistress, he's handed us the sword to execute him with. But we have to move fast. If he realizes how much is at stake, he will try to claim half of that ticket as marital property. Is it? Naya asked, her heart sinking. Technically, yes, Andre said, but we're going to argue that he had already abandoned the marriage and was committing financial fraud. However, I have a better idea. How much do you trust me? I don't trust anyone anymore, Naya said, but I want him to feel what I felt today. Then we don't cash the ticket yet, Andre whispered. We let him think you've already spent it. We let him dig his own grave. Over the next week, the news of the anonymous winner hit the papers. Marcus was frantic. He called Naya 300 times. He showed up at the apartment, but she had already moved to a high-security hotel. He sent flowers. He sent long, rambling emails about how much he loved her. Naya received a call from an unknown number. It wasn't Marcus. It was Sarah. Naya, listen to me, Sarah said, her voice sounding panicked. Marcus is dangerous. He didn't just move your savings. He's been embezzling from the firm for months. He used my name to authorize the transfers. He's planning to flee the country and he's planning to take Maya with him to force you to give him the money. Naya felt a chill of ice water run down her spine. Why are you telling me this? You hate me. I don't hate you, Sarah hissed. I just realized he was using me too.
He told me I was single when we met. He told me you were a crazy stalker ex-girlfriend. But once the money came out, he started talking about getting rid of you. I'm a lot of things, Naya, but I'm not a kidnapper or a murderer. Get your daughter and get out of the city." Naya didn't run. She was tired of running. She called Andre. "He's coming for Maya," she told the lawyer. "Then we set the trap," Andre replied. Naya arranged to meet Marcus at a secluded park, telling him she was ready to talk about a settlement. She told him she had the ticket with her. Marcus arrived looking disheveled, his eyes bloodshot and hungry. He didn't look like the polished executive anymore. He looked like a wolf. "Where is she?" Marcus asked, looking around the playground. "Where's Maya?" "She's safe," Naya said, standing by a bench. "We need to talk about the papers first." "Hand over the ticket, Naya," Marcus said, his voice dropping to a low growl. "I know you have it. I saw the lawyer's office you went to. You think you're smart? I've been playing this game longer than you've been alive." "The offshore account," Naya said. "Sarah told me everything, Marcus. Sarah told me you embezzled from the firm." Marcus laughed, a dry, rattling sound. "Sarah? Sarah is a spoilt brat. She'll say anything to save her own skin. But she's right about one thing. I'm leaving, and I'm not leaving empty-handed." He stepped closer, pulling a small, heavy object from his jacket pocket. It wasn't a gun. It was a digital recording device. "I've been recording our calls, Naya. I have you on tape saying you're going to hide the money. In court, you look like the greedy one. Now give me the ticket or I call the police and tell them you've kidnapped my daughter and are holding her for ransom. My word versus yours. Who do you think they will believe? The senior analyst or the waitress?" Naya smiled. It was a slow, beautiful smile. "You're right, Marcus. People do believe the person with the most power." From behind the trees, 3 men in dark suits stepped out. Behind them was Andre Vance, and behind him were 2 police officers. "Marcus Turner," one of the officers said, "you're under arrest for embezzlement and grand larceny. We have the logs from Sterling and Associates. It seems your mentor, Sarah, turned over all your login credentials and the offshore account an hour ago in exchange for immunity." Marcus turned white. He looked at Naya, then at the officers. "Naya, wait, don't do this. We're a family." "We were a family when I was scrubbing floors to buy your shoes. Now we're just a business transaction, and you're bankrupt." As they led Marcus away in handcuffs, Naya felt a sense of peace, but it was short-lived. Andre walked over to her, his face grave. "Nya, we have a problem." "What now? He's going to jail." "It's not about Marcus," Andre said, looking at his phone. "I just got a call from the Lottery Commission. Someone tried to claim the prize an hour ago." Nya's heart stopped. "That's impossible. I have the ticket right here." She reached into her purse. She pulled out the envelope. She opened it. Inside was a piece of paper. It was a drawing of a sun and a house, made in yellow crayon. Maya's drawing. Nya's head spun. She remembered Maya playing with her purse at the hotel. She remembered her sister, Tasha, offering to take Maya to the park so Nya could deal with Marcus. Tasha, her own sister, the person who had been helping her hide from Marcus. Nya scrambled to call Tasha, but the phone went straight to voicemail. "She's at the lottery office," she screamed. "We have to get there." The drive across town was a blur. Nya was sobbing, her mind racing. How could her own blood do this? Tasha had always been the jealous one, the one who complained about being broke while Nya worked 2 jobs. When they arrived at the lottery headquarters, they saw Tasha standing at the front desk, a wide grin on her face. She was holding the ticket. "Tasha!" Nya yelled, sprinting across the lobby. Tasha turned, her face hardening. She didn't look guilty. She looked triumphant. "You were going to waste it, Nya. You were going to give it all to lawyers and spend it on a man who hates you. I deserve this. I've been looking after you for years." "You stole from your own niece," Nya cried. "I'm securing our family's future," Tasha said, handing the ticket to the clerk. "Check it. It's real." The clerk took the ticket and scanned it. He frowned. He scanned it again. "Is there a problem?" Tasha asked, her voice turning shrill. "Ma'am," the clerk said, looking up, "this ticket, it's been voided." Nya and Tasha both froze. "Voided?" Nya whispered. Yes, the clerk said. The purchaser of this ticket called the hotline 3 days ago and reported it lost or stolen. According to the rules, a replacement was issued to the original buyer after they provided proof of purchase from the store's video surveillance. Nia looked at the clerk confused. I didn't call any hotline. A tall, slim man in a grey suit stepped out from the back office. He was holding a briefcase. No, the man said. I did. Nia gasped. It was the owner of the corner store where she bought her coffee every morning, Mr. Henderson, an old man who knew Nia since she was a child. Mr. Henderson, I saw you drop it, Nia, on Tuesday when you were rushing out to catch the bus. I tried to call you, but you were already gone. I knew Marcus was trouble. Everyone in the neighborhood knows he's a dog. I saw your sister come into the store later that day, asking if anyone found anything. She looked too hungry, Nia. I didn't trust her. Mr. Henderson stepped forward and handed Nia a new crisp envelope. I reported it so nobody could steal it from you. I kept it safe. I knew you'd come here eventually. Tasha let out a scream of rage and tried to lunge at Nia, but the security guards grabbed her. Nia didn't even look back as they dragged her sister away. 6 months later, Nia sat on the deck of her new home. It wasn't a mansion in a gated community. It was a beautiful, sprawling farmhouse on 50 acres of land in the Georgia countryside. There were horses in the distance and a garden full of vegetables. Maya was running through the grass laughing, her yellow dress catching the sunlight. Marcus was in prison, awaiting trial for embezzlement. Sarah had disappeared, her reputation ruined. Tasha was ordered to stay away from Nia by a court mandate. Nia looked at the bank statement on her laptop. The numbers were still hard to believe. But she wasn't just sitting on the money. She had started a foundation for women in domestic and financial abuse situations. Women who felt like weights around someone else's neck. She had a car pull up the long driveway. It was Andre Vance. He wasn't wearing a suit today. He had on jeans and a flannel shirt. Paperwork's all done, Andre said, walking up the steps. You are officially a single woman, Nia, and Marcus's appeal was denied. Thank you, Andre, Nia said, handing him a glass of lemonade. So, Andre said, looking out at the sunset, what's next for the woman who has everything? Nia watched her daughter. She felt the warmth of the sun on her skin. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to worry about tomorrow. She wasn't a waitress. She wasn't a victim. She was Nia. Next, Nia smiled. Next, I'm going to live. But as Andre turned to walk back to his car, Nia noticed something. A small black device fell out of his pocket. It looked exactly like the recording device Marcus had used. Nia's heart skipped a beat. She didn't say anything. She waited until he drove away. Then she walked down the steps and picked it up. She pressed play. She's got the money, Sarah. Andre's voice came through the speaker. It was a recording months ago. Marcus is out of the way. Once she trusts me with the trust funds, we'll move the assets to the Swiss accounts. Just stay quiet a little longer. Nia stood in the middle of her beautiful, expensive lawn, the wind blowing through her hair. The world she thought she had built was built on another lie. The lawyer, the man she thought was her savior, was working with the mistress all along. She looked at the $200 million in her account. Then she looked at the recording in her hand. She didn't cry. She went inside, picked up the phone, and dialed the number she had memorized. Mr. Henderson, she said when the old man answered. It's Nia. I need your help again. It's time to play the final game.